All right, so this is number 11 from the homework that had a limit with a radical involved. And there's kind of a standard procedure when you see a limit with a radical involved. We employ something called the conjugate. You're going to multiply this fraction here by the conjugate. Of course, your first thing is to try and see if direct substitution works. If you can put that 22 in there directly, and you can't, be dividing by 0. But once that's done, then you're off to the next option, which is this conjugate idea capitalizes on the difference of squares. So you probably know that a plus b times a minus b is a squared minus b squared. And then from that, we can get a pretty, predictable result every time we get a radical. If you multiply our numerator by the radical x plus 3 plus 5, what you're doing is employing the difference of squares, because what you have next to it is the square root of x plus 3 minus 5. So when you multiply those two together, you get a really predictable result, which is the first term squared, our radical x plus 3, minus the second term squared, which is 5. So this is just showing you all those lining up inside there. So that is actually the choice we make, because we know we get a nice predictable result. Effectively, we get rid of the radical in the numerator whenever we do that. So if you see a difference or a sum involving a radical in one of these limits, your option is likely to be to multiply by its conjugate, which is just changing the plus or minus sign between the two terms and then multiplying that top and bottom. The end result, so we can use that, cleans up pretty nicely. Now, I mentioned yesterday, try not to distribute your denominator. Don't multiply those two terms out. Keep those separate, because often those will there's some form of canceling. So keeping things in product form, in factored form, gives you potential for canceling things later. It doesn't always happen, but it's worth keeping open. Okay, so now, once you do that and it simplifies, you'll see, x minus 22's cancel. And remember, when canceling happens, it cancels to 1, not 0. And then you have a limit that the reason we couldn't substitute 22 indirectly in the beginning was because of the x minus 22 in the denominator. Well, it's gone after cancellation. So now you can direct substitute again, get 1/10, and you are done.